All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to On the DELO. I am the DELO right here, live in person or on your radio, in your car, wherever you are at. Today is a podcast I'm going to do on my own. This is going to be about the experience that my wife and I have had with the tiny home. So we're going to call this Tiny Home Big Dreams. And I'll have my wife back on here very soon. We have a lot of things to talk about. My wife has a lot of things to talk about, and should be enjoyable. But I appreciate everybody listening. We're getting close to 100 episodes. Yes, I've been doing this 100 episodes, and I just love it. I mean, whoever listens and gets something out of it means I've done my job, or at least, having people tell their stories and me telling other stories, and, people find it either entertaining or they get value out of it. And that just makes me happy. And plus there's a, ongoing documentation of all this stuff going on in my life, and others' lives as well. So, thank you for everybody for listening, staying a part of it, and only to get bigger and better. A lot of great stuff going on. One of the things I do want to mention is I am excited to announce that Jeremy Scott and David Delorenzo, the DELO, will be doing a mastermind. So I'll be promoting this mastermind. It's going to be limited to 10 people, like-minded people that want to be in a group and just be a part of a community where we can, help each other with resources. We can share, Jeremy and I can share our, values as business owners and, making money over the years, what that's taken, but also the physical, the spiritual, just every other notion of life that, my 30 years, Jeremy's 20 years that we've been, working with over time. So I'm excited to do this with him. Jeremy is one of the, if not the top fitness performers in business, online, in person, and also just a stand-up, amazing guy, and one of the smartest people I've ever met. So that'll be fun. That is called, what do you call it? Built Better, something like that. But we're getting all the artwork done and everything together on that, and so we'll be sharing more of that. All right, well, why don't we jump into tiny home talk. And I know a lot of you have been following me online. I know that you've seen the home. If you haven't, you can check on my social media, on my Instagram or any of my other, social media handles. And you can see this blue tiny home. Looks like big blue house or small blue house. And it does have a loft, and it's actually really pretty. The color that my wife had picked out, we were in between colors, and I'm glad we picked this one. This was a good color to pick out because it kind of stands out a little bit. I will say when they backed this tiny home into our lot, we were like, holy crap, this thing is huge. But we'll get into that portion for a minute. So I've always wanted, if you live in Arizona, you understand. It gets to be, 300 degrees during the summer, and it's, almost unbearable at certain moments. We all get tired, sweaty. I can't even get in my Jeep without, my legs sticking to the leather because it doesn't have the air-conditioned seats, which was a bad move. But it just gets hot, period. Wham, wham, wham. And everybody ends up going to the beach, or they go, somewhere else, basically, for a span of time. And, working in the restaurant business myself and sharing hundreds of restaurants, I also acknowledge the fact that sales are very low during the summertime because everybody's out of here, and San Diego ends up loving us, although they make fun of us. But we do spend a lot of money out there. So, my wife is not a fan of the heat. I'm okay with it. I'm not a huge fan of it, but now I've gotten to a point of, almost pushing 50 where I'm like, I think I deserve a little something extra, like a secondary place to go and escape. And the thing is like, my wife and I aren't really nature buddies. We're not really woods people. We're not like, oh my God, we're going to go, and hike up these cliffs and do all this stuff. We're nothing like that. But we do like nature. I do like deer that, graze in the pasture, or elk, or, bunnies and birds and all that sort of stuff. But I like it from a distance, if that makes any sense. So I like to be in it, but from a distance. My wife's the same way. And we also like all the, let's just say, modern century comforts that come with all that other stuff. So This all started during COVID, and we were kind of looking around. We've actually gotten to a point in our lifestyle and our security with, our primary home being fine, and kind of like, we need to maybe start looking into finding another place. And so during COVID, I had gotten on MLS and just looked around, and we would be watching TV, couldn't go anywhere. And we'd always get these updates, and we were looking Payson, Sedona, Flagstaff, you name it, just all over the place. And we would just see all these homes pop up. And we even went and looked at a Cottonwood. And the thing is like nothing really resonated. We just we even looked at land. We looked at this beautiful land in Sedona, which I swear had some sort of energy towards it, because I came back that day and I was just completely wiped. And I think the spirits got me, but that's for another podcast. So, the more we looked into it and we looked into stuff, we were just kind of like, okay, we can buy something. The market has just gone crazy. We can go buy something in these areas where it's going to cost us the same as our primary house down in Phoenix and then some. For what? For us to go up and spend maybe 30 days out of the year, maybe. If anybody knows me, I love to work. Of course, I can do it remotely, but I also like to be in the thick of it. So to get me anywhere for 30 days, not going to happen once at a time, but even over a span period of time, it's really hard. So, it just didn't seem like a good investment. Why spend $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 and then, owe money on it and not be there? And maybe it's in the middle of the woods and it's creepy and not secure. And I'm just kind of like, So none of that research and none of that targeting was really going well for us. We're just kind of like, okay, well, maybe it just isn't something that we do. Well, my stepdad, Jim, he has raised me since I was 2. And you all might be familiar with my other dad, Ed. So, my biological dad, who I've, grown up with here in the insurance industry and who I bought the agency from, he lives in Phoenix, and my stepdad happens to live in, we'll call it like Chandler area. But my stepdad's had a place up in this area, in between Taylor and Sholo. So it's more east than it is anything east, northeast, I guess you would call it. And we would go up there, and Kim and I would go up there and visit him, and it's a cute little community. He's been up there 17 years, and it's one of these communities where you actually own the little plot of land. And I think it's called Juniper Ridge, and so inside of Juniper Ridge, I think there's like 500 and something members, and it's locked out at that. There's nothing else. Like, you have to buy from somebody that has either sold or possibly deceased or anything like that. So we didn't really give 2 thoughts on it. We had kind of looked at it and kind of were like, I don't know if this is for us. And it is a retirement community. So that's the thing. This is totally a 55 and over. Kim nor I are there yet, although Kim is older than me, just for the record. And they have something in their CCNRs, I believe, in the clause that states that 20% of the residents can be, less than 55. I don't know what the mark, maybe it's 45 to 55, something like that. So after, just kind of being disappointed by all the stuff over, MLS and just not wanting to put money down, and just didn't make logical or financial sense. That's the thing. This needs to make financial sense, or else we can get really disappointed on our choices. So Kim and I were just kind of like, well, what about this area? So we would go up there, we'd visit my dad, we'd hang out, and it kind of started looking really appealing when we put the numbers together, because we're looking at an area that it's gated. It's got 2 golf courses. It's got 2 lakes, a lot of fishing, you do that when you aren't checking email. It's got state land all surrounding it, which is amazing. And the land's really cool. Cattle runs, all sorts of cool stuff. And you're about 9 miles from any local small city with, grocery store, gas, all that sort of stuff that you need. But, obviously the idea of having a place up north is kind of be away from all that. Just kind of hang out on your porch in the nicer weather, enjoy the rainstorms, garden. They've got 2 dog runs. They've got a gardening area. They've got a community center, pools, tennis courts. So we're like, this is kind of cool, and, the fee's not that much a year. And again, to reiterate, you own the land. I mean, how cool is that? So we decided to kind of, start looking around. Now, here's what's really weird about this situation, and see if you can follow this. So my stepdad raised me since I was 2, after my mom and my biological dad got divorced, right? So we moved to Atlanta, and as a kid, I grew up in Atlanta. I came back here when I was 16, and now I've been here ever since. My stepdad actually ended up coming back out here. Him and my mom divorced, and, he retired from Motorola, I think at like 55, something really young. He's 81 now. Some water. He's 81 now, and just rocking and rolling with his girlfriend, Norma. And they both live in their tiny home up there in Juniper Ridge. And so my biological dad married a lady named Michelle. And Michelle's dad had a plot of land up there for 20-something years, I'm guessing. Well, this plot of land happens to be catty corner right behind my stepfather's plot of land. Yeah. So this is just a really weird 6 degree of separation. And I remember when Sal, which was I guess you'd call her my stepmom, when her dad had, gotten sick and wasn't going up there anymore, we had went and looked at his land. We're like, it's interesting. It's kind of cool. We would, do this and that. We're just kind of thinking about it. But nothing ever had came of it. And 2 years went by. Finally, we would go up, and we just realized that this community was like secure. It was going to be something that we could get to in 3 hours. And we're like, okay, you know what? Why don't we seriously look in here? So we went around and we actually looked at, other places that were in there. Well, unfortunately, Sal, very boisterous, loud, amazing, fun, celebratory man. I really love Sal. He was fun at the Christmas dinners and Thanksgivings and all that. He ended up passing away, and Michelle, my biological dad's wife, was now in a position that she didn't want to keep that land anymore, so she was going to put it out on the market. So I had asked her if it would be okay. We kept it in the family, and we bought it. So we did. We ended up buying that from her, and here is where our now tiny home sits, is on, Sal's land. We got Sal's tree there. It's, so it's kind of cool because it's an emotional sort of, bring together. But what's really cool as well is that it's close to my stepdad, and it's also one of the best plots of land up there, because when you stand out on our back deck that we had built 12 feet from the back of the tiny home, it's a 12-foot wide deck or in length deck. All you see is state trust land. It's just beautiful views of sunsets and stuff like that we'll hopefully get to enjoy here soon. So let's talk about the process of the tiny home. We had to go through a broker. We had one that was referred to us by our stepdad, who we did end up using. We did go look at a couple other brokers. It's a very niche and very small market when it comes to tiny homes. And this really isn't a tiny home, but it's cuter to say, and probably will get more pings of people saying, okay, that's great. Is that really that tiny? I believe it's called a park model, and these are RV resorts. And so these places are livable. They're 399 square feet. I mean, air conditioning. Ours has a loft. It's got a bathroom with a shower and a tub. It's got one bedroom in the back. Does have a washer and dryer. Kitchen setup. But we're going to be doing a lot of other stuff to it, because this will be our secondary place, and we feel for the amount of money that we spent on this, we can spend a little bit more money to build this whole thing out exactly the way that we want. So we ended up going to a bunch of different brokers. One was more expensive than the other. Hindsight, probably should have paid more for the expensive one because of their attention to detail, but is what it is. We got what we got. Happy with it, but it's been quite an emotional roller coaster, let's just say, for my wife and I, just getting frustrated with things, boxes not being checked, and it's just how it is. I mean, it's life. Not everybody is. How do I say? as organized or communicative as we would always like them to be. So we went through the process. We wanted to get some upgrading done to it on the inside. I suggest if you're ever going to, do this and you're younger and you want to build it out, just rip all the shit out that they put in there, because it's cheap. Redo it yourself, get the cheapest stuff. We're going to lay in new flooring. We're going to rip out the kitchen. I know it sounds crazy, but the fact that we got the structure up there and that's legal within the community, that was perfect for us. So the rest we will get to. During the process, because let's just say our broker wasn't that communicative and wasn't really clear about things that were on the plans and stuff like that, I just got frustrated. So I ended up going on to Instagram, and I Instagrammed Cavco, and I just hit him up and said, hey, look, I need help. And a really nice gentleman over there, he ended up responding and called us, and we got a tour, Kim and I, of the brand new Cavco facility. I don't think anybody's ever done that. I think it was my persistence to, make sure that this got done is the reason why it happened. And they were very, Cavco itself, the company, amazing. I mean, they were very nice, and they, set up a meeting with us, spent like 2 hours with us when we went down there. I think they thought we were crazy. They weren't, okay, so you want, and we just wanted to confirm everything on the plans was what we had talked about with the broker, and it wasn't. So we had to change some stuff, and, not a big deal, but it didn't make the broker too happy that we set that, appointment up on our own. But they let us in, and they let us in with open arms. I think at first they were just kind of like, oh God, these people are probably pain in our ass. And we just wanted to communicate with somebody. And so we got all that done, and we got to see, I got videos of it. We got to look inside the big warehouse and watch how they build these things on these production lines, which are really cool. And they're just building, tiny home after tiny home, park RV model after park RV model. And it's really cool. It's a very cool, huge manufacturing lot over out by Cardinal Stadium. And that's where they build them. So the process was about 7 to 8 months to build, I believe. I think it even took a little bit shorter than we thought. I'm losing my time, but it was a while. Obviously, with all the shortages of everything, I'm sure that didn't help. I don't know how long it normally takes them. So they get done with the process. We come in, we do an inspection period. Now the Cavco people love us because now they follow me on Instagram and they see how quirky I am and all the goofy stuff that I do. Yeah. And so they were great. We came in, we got our inspection done, walked around, got to walk around the facility. Again, they just really treated us awesome. So cheers to Cavco. I think the model is quality. I think there's a lot of, great bones to what we got, and it's a beautiful unit. And then 2 weeks later, they put it on a trailer, and they drive that thing from Phoenix, Arizona, 3 hours northeast, and by the end of the day, it ends up hitting our lot. And that's just a crazy experience because we're just sitting out there waiting for this thing. And you see this guy with this truck just drive it right in, backs that thing in. Took him probably about 45 minutes to figure this thing out and back it in. And that's when we get to the community part and how interesting a older person's community is. And not a knock on old people, because I'm probably one of those, and I hope to be, an even older one, with any luck in life. But holy crap, with people that don't have much to do, I got to tell you, they make a lot to do. So we, we're there, and there must be a whole gaggle of people just, surrounding our lot and looking at it. And they have what's called an ARC committee, is architecture, committee that comes out, and they are there with measuring tape and, fingers and all sorts of stuff. And so I don't know if this is going to fit. I don't know, and they're like, just like looking at it, making sure that it's sizable. Because when this thing comes in, it's huge. I mean, they're like, whoa, I had a lady comment from the art committee who commented on Facebook, because I had told them that we were coming. She's like, that looks pretty big. I don't know if that's going to fit on is that going to fit on your lot? And I said, well, don't worry about it. If it doesn't fit, I'll just turn it sideways. And I don't think she thought I was very funny. But 7 other people did give me a laughy face, so whatever. So she was probably already pissed off at me because I'm a smartass on Facebook. But we got the model up there. I think she approved it. We got unanimous improvement. We have a contractor up there who we actually started talking to almost a year ago, and he's like 2 years booked out. So we'll get him in probably November. We've waited, and he'll be able to, work the inside, and he's going to build an extension for us, which is going to be like a sunroom and an extra bedroom and a bathroom. And it's really cool because once that tiny home is up there and established, you're able to build, other parts of the structure onto it. And it's awesome. So the thing comes up there, everybody, gaggles around it and gives their opinion, and with success, we're there. It's set up. It's, it's not really set up, but the eagle has landed, let's say, and that thing is landed crooked a little bit because we have a little bit of a gravel indentation on our concrete, which is built by design to get the plumbing and everything through. So, but hey, we're there. It's in. Kim and I are exhausted. We go home, or we go back to the the Days Inn, Jason Bates Motel, and survive a night. So we come back the next morning. The hookup team comes up to hook up. So in this park community, they have electrical, they have plumbing, they have all this stuff. It's already there for you, which is great. And that was another thing when we were looking at land in Sedona. Like, there was none of that. You had to run all of this stuff if you were going to build something. And as beautiful as it was, you're looking at $1 million by the time you do plans and get, plumbing run and electricity run. I mean, it's just nuts. So this is great because you just back this whole thing in. And I know people are probably wondering, the tiny home itself was a little bit over $100,000, for that. And that includes delivery and all that other stuff. Anything else that you do over and above that, is obviously what we're willing to spend to make it exactly our own. But you're looking at a really affordable option to have a secondary place in the cool weather, and for us in a community that we feel safe and we can take the dogs out and do all that sort of stuff. So, so the next day they come, and thank God for my stepdad. I mean, he is, he's one of those 81-year-old busybodies for sure, but he's obviously being a busybody for our benefit, which is amazing. And it just helped us out with so many things. And I love him so much. And we're so grateful for, all of his time and everything that he has, done for us. And, he had his home, put up there many years ago, so he still remembers and knows how it should be done. Kim and I don't have a clue. We're just like, okay, that's why I pay people to, make sure it gets done right, hopefully the first time, but, this will be the third or fourth time. So the hookup crew comes, they half-ass hook up everything. Again, just another thing that we're just kind of annoyed about, but we figure out what's not hooked up, and we're still working on all that process. So, that's totally fine. I'm standing out there, one day, my wife's in the car talking to my mom about this whole thing. And I'm standing out there, and I'm just standing at that while they're, taking the axles off of the trailer and moving all the stuff from under the tiny home. And one of the neighbors comes up. He's talking to. There's probably like three of us that are up there, and one of the neighbors is coming up with his clipboard and kind of walking up on my property, and somebody's like, "Hey, Woody, how's it going? So what do you think?" And Woody's like, kind of looking at me, and he's like, "Well, if you want my opinion," and I'm so just done with it at this point. I'm just like, I just look right at Woody, and I'm just like, yeah, Woody, I really don't want your opinion, because it is what it is, brother. Here it is. And I think Woody was a little taken back, but we ended up, I think I struck a friendship with Woody after that. He invited me to go look at his place being built. And Janet, his wife, was the one person on the art committee that decided that I was a few inches off. Well, Woody and Janet, I got news for you. I don't really give a shit. And so I think the majority rule helped us, it helped us. And so everybody else was great, and we got everything taken care of on the, on the placement of the tiny home. But here's the thing. I mean, when you're up there finding workers in remote places, you think finding workers down here in Phoenix is hard? Go up there where everybody's retired and don't want to work, and then find somebody that lives in, Sholo or Taylor or one of those outside skirt companies that, are going to come and work for you and do all this stuff legitimately. Yeah, it's just not one of those things that, is over accessible, let's just say. But, all in all, so far, our experience has been great. We're so excited to have this. There's a lot of work to be done. We're excited to have a place to take the dogs. We're excited to have a place of our own, leave our clothes. I can go up fishing with my boy. I'm going to have the loft where him and his, my sons can stay up there if they want to come stay the night. Beautiful porch to drink our coffee and look at animals. I mean, all of this stuff is really what's on the sunrise of what we're, starting to develop here. And we're really excited about it. And so when I talk about tiny home, big dreams, really the dreams are having a secondary place to go and get a peace of mind and to be calm and to be part of a community that is taken care of and beautiful. And, for me, it's a place of just being able to meditate, be alone, read, have some better value as I, get into my older years of my life, because I don't go out and party anymore, as probably most of you all know, and nothing wrong with those that do, but I love the calmness in my life, because my work time is just crazy and over the top. And so to be able to come, to a place and it's only 3 hours away and the drive's really nice. I mean, it's one Joe Rogan podcast or another one of these podcasts and you're there. And be able to come to a place that quick and have all of your own stuff and then just sit on your porch in the 70-degree weather while the rain falls on you. I mean, hello. So yeah, if anybody's looking or interested or, wants to contact me more about the process or how, they feel that they can get into the process, because I'm telling you, these things are hot items right now. And for me, financially, money or not, I just think a financial decision based on the amount of time if you're still in your working career, it pins out, and for us, it's paid for. It's another place to have. And it's just, it's a dream that we had and that we concentrated on, and together, Kim and I were able to do it. And I will say that my wife, I love her so much. I wouldn't have done this without her. I mean, she's been so instrumental in picking everything out, putting it all together. And I love it all. I love all that she does. And she's such a, great designer and great visionary of creating a space that's just magical for us to share, with each other and with our family. So that is, let's just say tiny home, big dreams. Number one, we'll put you through the process while we're going through construction, and I'll share some pictures and do all that sort of stuff. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. I wanted to share a little part of my life in this podcast. Got some other great guests coming up on the podcast. And, please, if you do get a chance, follow me on Instagram at I am the DELO. All sorts of fun stuff going on there. As you know, I sell bar restaurant insurance, so there's a little plug for my and other insurances, everything that you can think of. I know not the sexiest thing. Again, our mastermind group's coming up. I'm also working on this hospitality app, and please subscribe to the podcast, give it a 5-star, and I hope you all are just having a magical and a beautiful day, and thank you for listening and being a part of my life. So till then, peace out.